It's Eileen Veronica Sears Lacasse. I was born in Springfield, Massachusetts, July 13th, 1919. Well, my parents both emigrated from Ireland. My mother came over here with 4 sisters, but 2 of the sisters went back because people had arranged marriages for them back there. That's what they did in those days, arranged marriages. My father was Thomas J. and he was funny as a crutch. And my mother was Mary Devine. My mother and father, they had 6 kids. The oldest was Father James, and then there were 5 girls: Anna, Mary, Margaret, Eileen, and Catherine. Yeah, we were during the Depression. We had no refrigerators. We had no washing machine. My parents were married 25 years before my mother had a washer. There were 7 of us, 7 girls that we were in 2nd grade, and we were friends for our whole life. And I went to 3rd grade, and we had this beautiful nun, Sister Agnes Elizabeth. She looked like our Blessed Mother. She taught us about our Blessed Mother. It was just beautiful to be in her class. I hit 7th grade, and I had this nun who was a pain in the neck. Oh, cramps on my neck, I just shot her. And then in 8th grade, I studied French. I had a year of French, and I loved it. And they had a French play, and I was in it. I used to say, il fait chaud or il fait froid. It was either hot or cold or something like that. But anyway, I loved the French. I flunked science.
Flunked science?
Oh yeah, I flunked science because we never had any kind of, and I was sitting way back. I couldn't, focus on her, and it was setting rocks and stuff, so I flunked science, and she was sitting there saying, well, you won't graduate, if you don't pass. So then I had to take it over. I got straight A's. And of course I passed it, and I went to Commerce, and I had a business education, and it was a good thing I did because I needed it. Through my life, I worked in business.
What was one of your first jobs as a child? Do you remember?
Well, I was a bootlegger.
A bootlegger? Who knew?
See, the prohibition was on. But that didn't mean that people didn't drink. Everybody had a still. Oh yeah, they all had a still. And they made whiskey. And we had a tub, in the attic stairs, and you put mash in it, and all the stuff, malt and all. Then you had the still, which is a great big milk, the great big still.
Yeah, like the big
and then there was wicks coming out of that, and it would drip, And you do it at night, and you put newspapers on the window so the police would know. Everybody did it. Nobody went without liquor. But what happened is that one time my uncle ran out of booze.
Yeah.
So my aunt asked my mother, for some liquor, for something to bring it over to him, because you had to have liquor for the men. They all drank. They'd have a shot and a beer. And so he didn't have any liquor. So my mother gave me a pint of liquor. I had to take the booze over, and my mother said to me, now, if you drop it, run.
Wow. Did you drop it?
No.
Good.
I went over careful, and I got $5,
wow.
And I brought that back to my mother. Well, that was the only time I was a bootlegger.
Let's go back to high school.
Pardon?
Let's go back to high school. You had to work there?
You go back to high school. It was enough for me.
No,
Yeah, go ahead. I had good marks in some things, and some things I didn't. But I belonged to the Areopagitica Club. That's the debating society.
Yeah.
And so I was in that, and I liked that. That was good. Then I graduated from high school, and the Depression was on, and it was hard to get a job. But my mother made me go out looking all the time. But I used to meet my girlfriends out, and we'd go to the depot, and because it was nice and warm in there. The girls and I used to meet, and for many, many months, really, and no job. Nobody had a job. It was something, and we'd walk. And one of the girls said, it's a waste of shoe leather, because there were no jobs.
Yeah.
But I went to night school. And I took everything I could take, you know. And I went to Catometer School, keep on schooling, everything. I went to Stick. I was a college student, you know.
Yeah.
I went to Stick. And I was learning the computer and all. So I gathered as much knowledge as I could. But then, you know, I went to work at the Springfield Sugar. And there were Jewish girls there. It seems as though the office force was half Jewish and half Irish.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, I like the Jewish girls a lot better.
Really?
Oh, God, the Irish girls, I mean, they, you know, they can be cutting, and, you know.
What did you like about
Jewish girls were, I think they were so wonderful. I mean, they were so good to me. It just seemed as though Jewish people, if you work hard for them, I mean, they appreciate everything you do.
Yep.
And I was a good worker. So that was my experience in Springfield Sugar.
Okay.
So I learned a lot. And then the war came.
Right.
And I got married after. Well, so one day I was out walking down from our cottage to a restaurant. We were going to have breakfast. And I stumbled on the curb and I bumped into guess who?
Grandpa. Well, what did he say?
Well, so then we went to lunch or breakfast together, and then he had a big car, you know, so apparently he asked me to go out, and so we went out in the big car. It was very nice, but he was very nice. He was, oh, butter wouldn't melt in his mouth, I swear to God. It would be 1942. And so anyway, then we started riding, and then he came down, you know, so, I mean, we started going together, and, well, to say the truth, nobody else had asked me anyway, so.
Something to do, right?
What?
It's something to do, right?
So then, so, you know, we got serious, and the war came, and he enlisted in the Navy, but they didn't take him because his eyes weren't that strong or something, so then he went in the Army. And when he went in the Army, they put him into the engineers. So the engineers would go ahead, and they would scout, you know, to see where the Germans were.
Right.
And then the way they did, you know, the people had farms, but they'd all come back to where this, you know, complex was where they lived, and they'd go out to the farm. Well, there was this complex, you know, it was all, you know, homes, you know, buildings and all. So they sent them up there to inspect, you know, so they all went in there, quiet as mice. And the next thing you know, the Germans, they were all waiting for them, and they all peppered them. And they killed every single one of them. But he was running with this fellow, and he said to the fellow, come on, into the latrine, you know, I looked the cover.
Yeah.
So the fellow said no, and he got killed right away. And Don jumped into the latrine, pulled the cover down, and they didn't discover him. And so he was the only one who got away. He got 5 battle stars, and he also got the Soldier's Medal. So then he came back and we got married, and then we had 5 children that we liked, and one we weren't so pleased with.
What's one of your happiest memories? Anything?
Well, it's very hard to think of even one. Well, I think when my children were born, when you have your children, that's the happiest time in your life, really, when you have kids, yeah. Well, Mary was a born homemaker, and she was a born cook. Sports didn't interest her as much as she loved to cook, and, you know, she helped out a lot. So when I had Tom, the nun said to her, told the nun she was going to stay home for 2 weeks. The nun understood it because she had to take care of me, which she did. I would have died without her, I swear to God. I hate to say something nice about you, but it's the truth. She helped me so much, you know. Well, if I said anything, I would say, trust in God and pray, because this world is rotten and everybody's trying to down everybody else. And I mean, it lead everybody astray and use them and everything else. I was not one who just grew up, you know, happy-dappy, you know, so I mean, I was always asking for help, which you darn well better be asking for help yourself, because you don't know what's ahead of you any more than anybody else does. And things can, no family is without problems, really. I mean, it's true. But I'm going to be 97, and I've got a beautiful apartment, and I have 3 of my children very close to me, helping me. They do everything for me. I mean, it's remarkable. It's wonderful. I think I think that I'm imposing. And I said to somebody at cars, they said, well, who takes you? I said, my son. But I said, I think it's such an imposition because they're busy. And, I think they said, but I said, they think I'm wonderful. And the guy says, we all do. Now, wasn't that sweet?